Dissociative amnesia and fugue. Dissociative amnesia occurs when a person blocks out information about a traumatic event. This causes a person to forget identity information about themselves. Information about the event can also be forgotten as a way to suppress the event. These memories can be recovered if something triggers them in a certain way.
Earlier this month, the man who had accused Cardinal Joseph Bernardine of sexually abusing him 17 years earlier withdrew the charges, questioning the therapy he had received.
Based on information I have learned since filing the lawsuit, I now realize that the memories which arose during and after the hypnosis are unreliable. In fact, if I knew at the time I filed the lawsuit what I know today, I would have never included Cardinal Bernardine in it.
But not all repressed and recovered memories can be discounted. Former Catholic priest James Porter pled guilty after dozens of his victims came forward with accusations of sexual abuse. For many of them, the memories of abuse returned after lying dormant for almost 30 years.
All of a sudden, it came back to me. I started having very bad nightmares about being raped and about running and being on the roof and kicking this man over and doing all kinds of things. And to think that they let a priest do this, you know, and it really got to me. It really did.
There have been cases where the process to recover memory has led to disaster. At 32, Laura Paisley thought treatment for an eating disorder, but says that over a period of 4 years, her therapist convinced her she'd been molested and abused by her entire family.
He used hypnosis, trance writing, relaxation, age regression, rage therapy. I used to throw clay balls into the wall and scream. And the hardest part of it was when I realized all of the flashbacks were not reality, and I had lost all those years.
Laura eventually sued her therapist, settled out of court, and has since been reunited with her family.
Symptoms of dissociative amnesia include inability to recall information about past events, such as a stressful time or a traumatic event. People suffering from this disorder may also be depressed or have a form of anxiety. It's found much more commonly in women than men, and people may also exhibit symptoms including confusion or dazedness. Treatments for dissociative amnesia have different goals. The first is to control the behavior and relieve the symptoms. The second is to help the person deal with the traumatic events which caused the dissociative amnesia in the first place. Treatments are personalized and vary based on the severity of the condition and also the individual's psychological profile. Dissociative fugue is an extremely rare form of reversible amnesia. It involves loss of personal identity in short-lived episodes between a few hours to a few days.
Thank you.
David's life was in a mess. After the breakup from his girlfriend, events began to spiral out of control.
He kind of become known as almost like a John Rambo type guy, like not a vagrant, but he moves around. He never ever kept to one place.
He never had a key, but if he knocked and we opened the door, he'd walk straight in, and he would just come in and take the brandy. Sometimes he might drink the whole bottle of it.
I think it was a collection of stuff
not being able to see his daughter.
He'd put sometimes his friends first and sometimes put his party and football first.
He didn't actually have a job.
Almost no plan for the future.
He never really had much of a career.
Every time he gets a job, he seems to neglect it.
He was a bit here, there and everywhere, as in he never had his fixed abode.
He fell out with my mum.
When I said to get out of the house, and I told him I don't want you back here anymore.
He doesn't seem to care too much about anything. He lives from day to day.
He wasn't abusive to me, was he? He was a liberty taker.
Acting in an irresponsible way.
Play music, cook, not wash up.
Kevin and his girlfriend, they split up for a while. David sort of got the blame for that. So he was like banned from going to basically staying at Kevin's where he used to stay.
I heard that he got rejected from Kevin's mum's, and I think she'd had enough.
So there was 3 houses that he grew up in that he wasn't actually allowed to stay at anymore. And I think it was a collection of all that. It just got too much for him.
As if somebody restarted Dave's computer.
He sort of had a breakdown of his brain and just reset his memory.
What I know, when you go into a fugue, something happens in your brain. Makes you shut down certain emotions, certain memories from the past. It also puts you in a state of like, you're not aware of things around you, and possessions sort of mean nothing. Obviously myself, I ended up putting down my phone, my wallet, my money and my keys, and then I just sort of like wandered off so we can gather.
After David left the train, he made his way to the street where his friend Kevin lives.
I know that I got here at some point because all my possessions were found in the back of his boot, which I have a spare key for. I would have pretty much opened up the boot and took out my wallet, my keys, and just, for some reason, just flung them in there. That would have been it. I would have, don't know, just disappeared.
David had left his wallet and his identity in the boot of his friend's car. 4 hours later, he was admitted to King's College Hospital.
Basically, there's like 3.5 to 4 hours of time which is unaccounted for. And obviously, I know at 8:30 I ended up in the hospital. But in them 3.5 hours, people just assumed that I came from my friend's house straight to the hospital. But that would have only taken about half an hour.
Neither David nor his friends have any idea of what happened in those missing hours.
Finally, here we are at King's College Hospital's accident and emergency. The earliest memory that I have is just standing just over there on my own and sort of just walking through them doors.
David will never know for certain what happened in those missing hours. But his friends have given him an insight into the man he was before he fugued, and it's proved to be a painful experience.
Symptoms of dissociative fugue include unplanned and spontaneous travel away from their home, distress caused by issues with day-to-day living. The patient can't recall past events which are important to their lives and their identity, and they don't have a sense of their own identity and sometimes seek out a new one. There are no definitive causes of dissociative fugue. Typically, this is believed to be from high levels of stress or traumatic events in the person's past, such as war, extreme violence, a history of drug abuse, and abusing drugs like alcohol can create similar fugue states, which are also known as blackouts. Dissociative fugue can be treated in a variety of ways. Usually it is a combination of therapies such as psychotherapy, cognitive therapy, medication, family therapy, or even creative ways such as art or music therapy. Dissociative fugue was first recorded in a case that occurred in France in the 1880s. At the time, the disease was known as mad traveler. After this first diagnosis, In the town of Bordeaux, a small epidemic exploded in France and reached parts of Italy and Germany. The only real documented history of the disease was recorded in Ian Hacking's book called Mad Travelers.